The deep woods in autumn hold a particular kind of silence, a thick, velvet hush that seems to swallow sound whole. For Arthur, a man of 73 years, whose bones now preferred the comfort of his armchair to the uneven ground of the Pacific Northwest, this silence was both a comfort and a profound loneliness. He had come out to the old family cabin, not for a hunting trip, as in his youth, but for a different kind of pilgrimage. Final walk through the cathedral of cedars and firs before the winter snows made the journey impossible. His wife, Eleanor, had loved this place, and though she was 2 years gone, he felt her presence here more keenly than in their quiet, empty house in town. It was on his third day, along a game trail he hadn't walked in a decade, that the silence broke. It was not a sound so much as a feeling, a primal, vibrating hum in the air that raised the hairs on his neck and arms. The forest, moments ago alive, with the chatter of a jay and the rustle of a squirrel, fell into an absolute, unnerving stillness. Arthur stopped, his hand instinctively going to the weathered walking stick he carried. He was not a man prone to fright, but a cold dread, ancient and deep, began to pool in his stomach. Then came the smell, a musky, earthy odor, like wet dog and decaying leaves, but far stronger, more aware. From the dense thicket of salmonberry bushes to his left, a figure emerged. It was not the legendary giant of campfire tales, not some 10-foot-tall monstrosity. This one was smaller, perhaps 4 feet tall, covered in a shock of reddish-brown hair that was matted and wet from the morning dew. It was a child, a Bigfoot child. Its eyes, a surprisingly intelligent and deep amber, were wide with a mirror of Arthur's own terror. It had been foraging, its small, surprisingly human-like fingers clutching a handful of grubs, and it had frozen mid-action upon seeing him. For a long, heart-stopping moment, they simply stared at each other, two beings from different worlds, locked in a tableau of mutual fear. Arthur's mind raced, a cacophony of old stories, scientific skepticism, and raw, animal instinct. Every tale of aggression, every blurry photograph, every warning to avoid eye flash flooded his mind. He tightened his grip on his stick, his knuckles white. The creature let out a low, guttural whimper, a sound of pure distress that was far too young and vulnerable for a monster. He tried to back away but stumbled over a hidden root, falling hard onto its backside with a soft, pained yelp. The fear in Arthur did not vanish, but it was suddenly joined by another impulse, one honed over a lifetime of grandfather's instinct. The creature wasn't threatening him. It was scared, hurt, and alone. Its whimpers were not roars of challenge, but cries of childish fright. Slowly, very slowly, Arthur bent his stiff knees and placed his walking stick on the ground, a universal sign of non-aggression. He held his empty hands out, palms open. "Easy now," he whispered, his voice a rough gravel that seemed to startle them both. "Easy, little one. I'm not going to hurt you." The creature stopped its scrambling. Its wide, liquid eyes were fixed on him, no longer just fearful, but now filled with a dawning curiosity. It tilted its head, much like a dog hearing a new sound. Arthur remained perfectly still, his breath fogging in the crisp air. He could see now the fine details he demissed in the first shock. The expressive brow, the subtle quiver of its lip. The way its hair wasn't just a pelt, but grew in patterns, finer around its face. Hesitantly, it pushed itself up. It took a half-step backward, then stopped, its gaze falling to the ground near Arthur's feet. There, forgotten, was the small, red handkerchief Eleanor had always made him carry. It had fallen from his pocket. The young Sasquatch looked from the bright red cloth to Arthur's face and back again. Its fears seemed to be eclipsed by a powerful, simple fascination. With a consciousness that spoke of an innate wariness, it took a step forward. Then another. Arthur's heart hammered against his ribs, but he forced himself to remain a statue. The creature stopped an arm its length, a white, musky scent now filling the air around them. It leaned forward, its amber eyes never leaving his, and with astonishing delicacy, it reached out one long, finger-like hand and picked up the handkerchief. It held the red cloth, feeling its texture between its thick fingers, bringing it close to its face to sniff. It made a soft, chuffing sound, almost like a question. Then, it did something that stole the breath from Arthur's lungs. It looked directly at him, and in its eyes, Arthur saw no monster, no myth, no scientific mystery. He saw only a lost, curious child, enthralled by a simple, colorful thing. It held the handkerchief out towards him, not to keep it, but as if to share its discovery. Tears, unexpected and hot, welled in Arthur's eyes. The fear was gone, completely burned away by a wave of overwhelming tenderness, and a connection so profound it felt sacred. He slowly reached out and took the offered cloth. As his fingers brushed against the creature's rough, warm ones, a jolt of understanding passed between them, an acknowledgement of shared curiosity, of peaceful intent, of a moment outside of time. From deep in the forest, a call echoed, a long, low, melodic ululation that was neither a roar nor a scream, but a clear summons. The young one's head snapped up. It looked back into the shadows of the trees, then once more at Arthur. There was no fear in its gaze now, only a lingering wonder. It chuffed softly once more, a sound that felt like a farewell, then turned and melted into the undergrowth with a silence that belied its size. Arthur stood there for a long time, the red handkerchief clutched in his hand, the scent of musk and damp earth slowly fading on the breeze. The jay began to sing again. The squirrel resumed its scolding. The forest's normal sound returned, but Arthur was forever changed. He had come into the woods, fearing the emptiness of his own life, and had stumbled upon a truth so full it could hardly be contained. He had not found a monster to fear, but had shared a moment of innocent connection with a being of beautiful mystery. He walked back to the cabin slowly, his heart lighter than it had been in years. The story was his alone, a precious secret to be held close. He knew no one would ever truly believe him, and he found he didn't to need to, for the fear had been real. But what followed was a gift of fleeting, beautiful reminder that the world was still vast and wild and filled with wonders beyond an old man's understanding, and that sometimes the most magical encounters begin with a stumble and end with a shared moment of grace.